So, hello and good morning, everyone. I will be discussing today the nature and development of reference and information services. So, this is the continuation of our discussion last time, but I will start from the beginning since medyo choppy ato ang connection last virtual meeting. Okay, so we will be discussing first the definition of terms. So we are always using the term reference service, but we don't know what that really means, right? So let us first discuss what reference service means. So there are actually a lot of definitions given by different people, different organizations, but I have listed here some famous and mostly accepted definitions for the term reference services or reference service. So the first one is given by American Librarians Association Glossary of Library Terms. So as you all know, ALA is one of the very first organizations created by librarians for librarians. So they've defined reference service as a phase of library work which is directly concerned with assistance to readers seeking information and using the resources of the library in study and research. The second definition is given by Miss Margaret Hutchins. She said reference service includes the direct personal aid within a library to persons in search of information for whatever purpose, and also various library activities, especially aimed at making information as easily as possible. So after all these definitions, we will see what are the common denominators of all these definitions given. So another definition given by Samuel Rothstein. So this one is a very simple definition, and I think the s- like the very summary or the very point of reference service. So he said that the reference service is the personal assistance given by the libraries to individual readers in pursuit of information. And of course, the father of librarianship, S.R. Ranganathan, stands for Sriali Ramamrita Ranganathan. So he said that reference service is the process of establishing contact between a reader and his documents in a personal way. So, like overall, for the overall definition, so reference service refers to all functions performed by a trained librarian employed in the reference section of a library to meet the information needs of patrons, whether it is in person or what we call the face-to-face transaction, by telephone, where the patrons use the telephone or the cell phone to transact the library in the library service, and then electronically or what we call the virtual reference service. So we use the internet and our gadgets to have the transaction. So it includes, but not limited to. So the following list are like the transactions or the services that the reference service is offering, or what the reference librarian are expected to do when doing the reference service. All right, so that includes answering substantive questions, instructing users in the selection and use of appropriate tools, so it's guidance. The librarians are expected to guide their users in the appropriate tools and techniques when they are looking for information, and then conducting searches on behalf of the patron assistants, directing users to the location of library services. Of course, the librarians are the person who knows their section well, the locations of the things. So, of course, they have to direct users to assist users in locating the library resources, and assisting in the evaluation of information, referring patrons to resources outside the library when appropriate. So, not no library is complete. That's what they all say. So in the library, it doesn't mean that you have everything in your collection. So, of course, if you don't have the reference or the things that your client is looking for, you should be able to know or in some way be able to refer your clients to the proper office or the proper department where they can get the resources or the references that they are looking for. Okay, so keeping reference statistics. So, as a librarian, you should also record all the in and out of your library. So, how many people are visiting your library a day? How many people are borrowing? So, that's part of the statistics of the library. And then participating in the development of reference collection. So, you have a subject, you have this subject collection management. Though, so, that is the essence of collection management. You should be able to identify or to evaluate the status of your collections. So either it needs improvement or what you can do to improve your collections. What are the books or the resources that you should buy, and what you should discard or to get rid of. So that's all now for this definition from rates. So it's published in 2014. So in summary, there are three like there are three things that are present in all the definitions given. The first one is the information, the second one is the reference librarian, and the third one is the clients. So with all the definitions given, these three are always present, no? So in summary, the reference librarian serves as the bridge or the moderator or the connector between the clients and the information. So that's why the librarian should be well equipped, well trained when it comes to mediating, when it comes to uh, that's right, mediating information with the clients because the clients depend on the reference librarian on how to get the information that they need. Okay, so that's it for the definitions. So your first task, which is for 10 points, based on your understanding, make your own definition of reference service. Again, for 10 points, this is the first question. Now, there are two terms that are mostly used in the reference survey. So we have the reference transaction and the reference works. So these two terms are often used interchangeably. But we have here a definition from RUSA or the Reference and User Services Association. They've defined the two terms for us to be able to identify which is which. So reference transaction is the information consultations in which library staff recommend, interpret, evaluate, and or use information resources to help others to meet particular information needs. So it does not include katong mga formal instruction, mga user education, exchanges that provide assistance with locations, schedules, equipment, supplies, or katong mga document making. For example, ang mga policy statements, collection development plan, include that's not included in the reference transaction. So based on the meaning or the definition, you can say that the reference interview, as we have discussed last semester, no, ang reference interview is the embodiment of the reference transaction. So you will be able to you'll be able to interview your clients, your patrons, on what they really need, and then it's the job of the reference librarian to interpret and evaluate those information to be able to recommend the right information resources that they will give to the client. Okay, so that's the reference transaction. It is only limited in that part lang, no, sa interviewing lang, sa information consultations. Now, let's go to reference work. Based on RUSA, reference work includes reference transactions and other activities that involve the creation, management, and assessment of information of research resources, tools, and services. So creation and management of information resources includes kanang development and maintenance of research collection, research guides. So assessment activities includes measurement and evaluation of reference work, resources, and reference services. So based on the definition given, we can say that reference work is the general idea of the reference service. And reference transaction is under the reference work. It's a more specific service under reference work. So, in analogy, you can look at it as reference work as the umbrella, and under that umbrella is the reference transaction. All right, so I hope you get something from that. So, your next question is for based on your understanding, what is the difference between reference services and reference work? So you can please give a one paragraph answer for this one. Okay, so what is the difference between reference services and reference work? A one paragraph answer. And if you when you say one paragraph, it is consist of three or more sentences. Okay, so again, that's question number two for 10 points. So you already have 20 points now. Okay, so let's continue. Of course, we have already discussed the historical backgrounds. So again, there are two major movements that happened in the 19th century which resulted or which influenced the development of the reference service. And that is the universal education, where all the people, regardless of race, age, etc., gender, are able to receive free public education. And then because of that, the free public library concept was created to aid in the provision of public education. Of course, there are two people who are behind two famous people who are behind the development of the reference service. We have Samuel Sweat Green, the father of reference service, who gave the idea of reference service in his paper Personal Relations Between Librarian and Readers, which was published in 1876. And we have Melville Dewey, the librarian who first used the word reference as a term. So he created the reference department and called its member as the reference librarians. Okay, so let's go now to the reference desk. I know you are all familiar with the reference desk since you have went to the library before and saw a lot of librarians sitting in their reference desk. So librarians are experts in the contents and arrangements of their collection. Of course, if you will become a librarian in the future, you are expected to be familiar or expert in the library that you are working for or in the department or section that you are assigned because you are the one who will be asked by the clients, and if you don't know where is the thing or which is which, how will you answer, how will you cater your clients needs? So library users are encouraged not to be shy about asking for a reference librarian for help. So of course, as a student, again, please don't be shy to approach your librarians and ask for assistance. It's because assisting patrons is the very essence of reference service. So that's part of the librarian's job. So reference desk, or also what we call the information desk, is a public service counter where professional librarians provide library users with direction to library materials. They also advise on library collections and services and expertise on multiple kinds of information from multiple choices. That is why if you will become a reference librarian in the future or a librarian in the future, you should be able to familiarize your collections and